This video demonstrates how to use Visicon to extract model information out of Revit. We'll start out by opening up a Revit model, and we'll use one of Autodesk's provided samples. This is their advanced architectural model. Once you install Visicon on your desktop, it'll detect any installation of Revit from 2015 through 2018 and insert itself under the Add-ins tab. And you can see here there's the Visicon Alpha set of toolbars. The two we'll focus on in this video are the quick export and the full export. So the quick export and full export each operate by allowing you, giving you a one-click option to be able to export your model into Visicon. Each has their own settings, so we're going to go and look at those. The quick export is set up to not export the hidden items as well as instance parameters and family parameters. These are just extra parameters that might make the model that you're opening up just a little heavier. So if you want the lightest model and also the quickest export, you would use the quick export option. Anything you set as a as a preference here remains as a setting, and then each time you go and click the quick export button, it'll just revert back to those defaults. Every time you open this up in any particular model, it'll also list all of the component categories as well as any families that are in your Revit model, as well as any work set. So you have further the ability to be able to come in and customize what you want to export. So we'll cancel out of this. We'll go into the full export. So the full export, as I mentioned, really in this case is just also exporting any hidden objects as well as the family and instance parameters. So what it's doing now is just kind of running through, and we'll just sit it and wait a couple seconds until it opens it up in Visicon. Great, now the model is being loaded into Visicon. We'll open it up and we can zoom in a little bit. So similar to the eTabs model, whenever you open up a model file in Visicon, it will default to the generic component classifications. You can always go into the colorize and switch it, let's say, to material definition. So in this case, you clearly see the colors that were defined for those objects within Revit, and the color that's displayed, because you can have multiple colors in Revit, the color that's displayed is the outermost color. Again, you can come in here between unique, so these are all the different unique material types. This is the colorization, and then this is by type. So this would be, possibly, let's look here. So the type classification in this model would be, for example, we have asphalt, wood, stucco. Each is assigned its own color. So if I want to see here, I have, let's say, stone. How many instances of stone I have? This is where I would come in and try to, identify them. There are 318 instances. They must all be hidden. So if I want to isolate my selection, I come in here. So these are the actual stone panels that are in the model. So I can look at, let's say, insulation, metal, aluminum. So it makes it very, very easy to essentially come in and identify exactly where you have certain materials selected. So that's material selection. I'm going to unselect isolate and go back into colorize and switch to the outer color definition. So this gives you a sense of how you can quickly access the information. Again, browsing through and identifying different material properties. Again, for each of these materials, you can come in here. So let's say for the site glass, this is the site grass, excuse me. I can come in and see, no, there aren't any interesting parameters here. But if we take, let's say, the metal aluminum, any of the properties that would have been defined in Revit would be brought over. And we have our component types. So again, if I look at the different component types, I can again very easily identify and essentially search through those. So it makes it quite easy to be able to, let's say, break apart the information in your model and quickly identify the data. We're going to go back to material, and we're going to just look at the left side. So here, each of the components can also be accessed. If I select one, for example, so this is a panel, and if I scroll down, these are all, essentially it gives me some general information. So this first tab of properties are, let's say, the Visicon specific properties. Because we did the full export, if I click on the parameters, also all of the instance parameter information is exported, as well as any family. So this would be anything that's a custom property or a default parameter. Again, I can click on any of these components and get the information that I want. So in this case, for example, the roof doesn't have any family parameters, but it does have its instance parameter. So it depends on how a particular object is defined. So again, so you can access all of these, and you can, if I right click and select, now in this case I can then see all of those properties that are unique or common among anything that I've selected. Just to do one final thing, again, similar to what we did in the ETABS model. For example, I can select this face of that column, right click, add a clip plane, and essentially zoom in and take a closer look at my structure. So this is how I can kind of zoom into my structure. Again, here, if I select any component, get immediate access to the properties. If I turn on the material tab, I can see exactly which one of the materials. Let's see, does it have a material assigned? If I scroll down, in this case, I'm not finding the material. Actually, I can see that it was not assigned in Revit. But if we select some of these other components, okay, so if we go to the floor, or here the railings, we can see it all depends on what is assigned. If we go back to the floor, concrete, and you can see it immediately cross-references it to the concrete type. You can see how many instances are in use in your model, and it would give you any of the specific information if it were defined in the Revit model. I think this gives you a good overview of how you can use the one-click option to export model information from Revit, either as a quick export or full export. Thank you.